right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for being here for this webinar. And I just want to remind everybody before we start to keep your cameras on during the webinar, mute your microphones at all times, turn it on only when asked. And for those who have questions, type them in the Q&A section or the chat box below. So thank you, and we hope you have a wonderful experience. So it's already 4 p.m., so let's start. So technology has brought a lot of wonders to this age, like the internet, and with that brings new knowledge and new discoveries. But it also had a great impact in the food technology or the food industry as well, creating different ways we can enjoy the everyday favorites that we have for food. And one of those is making or turning those so-called food waste that we have and turn them into something useful. And in this webinar today, we will talk about fish-based bioactive as a source of nutraceuticals in this webinar. So as we dive deeper into this, we want to learn from the food technology industry expert himself, who has more than 30 years of experience through his experience in universities and different food industries. With a specialty in food drying, processing, and packaging, he is the best person to take us through this journey as we dive deeper into this topic. So he had grants reaching more than 1 million New Zealand dollars, and he also participated in multiple research, not only in the Philippines, but also abroad. I'm sure some of you already know him and have encountered him in different lectures as well. So he has worked with a variety of well-known brands, which gives him the edge in this industry. And this is such an opportunity for all of you guys who are here tonight. So this afternoon, without further ado, let me introduce Foodstep Consulting's very own Dr. Lemuel M. Diamante. Take it away, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. That's Christy. And good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, New Zealand pa yung thinking ko. Could I have the first slide, please? Okay, my talk today is on fish-based bioactives as a source of nutraceuticals. Okay, next, please. Okay, there are several bioactive components are present in fish per se, such as lipids, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and other fish byproducts are considered important due to their therapeutic potentials, otherwise known as nutraceuticals. So the main, could I interrupt for a short time, Christy? I think the PowerPoint uploaded is the old one.
Oh, let's just fix that and consult with the
Can you please, because this is not the wordings that I already have for the final one.
All right. We'll make sure to use the new one. For all those people out there who are here with us today, please do follow Foodstep Consulting on Facebook so that you can be updated for upcoming webinars. This is the 4th one that we have as of the present. So make sure that you follow us and like our page as well so that you can learn a lot in the food industry technology. So please, as we start this out, this technical issue, I advise everyone, if you have any questions or if you have any further inquiries, you can do so by messaging us on our Facebook page, which is Foodstep Consulting. Very easy to spell, very easy to remember, and you could also have your inquiries addressed by Dr. Lemuel himself. So I suggest you do that, and I'm advising everybody to keep your cameras on during the webinar and mute your microphones at all times. And you can also unmute it when asked as well. And for those with questions, type them in the chat box during the Q&A portion of the webinar. So I'm consulting with my team right now if they have the link below.
They
So
would
we'll be
know
right back.
about it, Christy, because the time, New Zealand time, should be 9 p.m. See, the first one uploaded was 8 p.m. And then when I saw the next slide, there's something wrong.
There's something wrong. So I hope Lazy Labs team, I hope we get this sorted out immediately so that we can continue with the webinar. We have a lot of amazing and wonderful people joining us today from different industries. So I hope you stay tuned. We still have a lot to share with you guys regarding fish-based bioactives as source of nutraceuticals.
Is it sorted?
We'll be right back shortly.
I think this is the right one now.
All right, here we go. Let's proceed. Sorry for the
Okay, so
interruption.
if we can just jump straight to that first slide. There we go. Okay, so there are several bioactive components that are present in fish and other fish byproducts. Okay, so the fish muscle itself and the fish byproducts contains lipids, proteins, vitamins, minerals that are considered important due to their therapeutic potentials. And these are otherwise known as nutraceuticals. So it's both food and sort of medicine. That's nutraceuticals. So the main therapeutic potential of fish consumption has been attributed with the presence of long-chain omega-3 fully unsaturated fatty acids or PUFA that is high in content. That's why the popularity of fish oil, especially in capsules. Next, please. Next, okay. So several reports suggested that other than long-chain omega-3 PUFAs, various other bioactive components from fish have been found to have positive effects on human health. And according to the World Health Organization and American Heart Association, fish should be consumed on a regular basis in about 1 to 2 servings weekly. Next. So it should provide approximately 200 to 500 milligrams of EPA and docosahexaenic acid or DHA. Though these two acids, fatty acids, are actually coming also from the fish oils. This will protect humans against various coronary heart diseases and stroke, as you will know about the importance of fish oils in our diet. The nutritional value status of fish and fish byproducts shows that they contain high amounts of other healthy nutrients with countless health benefits, so other than fish lipids. Next. It should provide, sorry. Here is a chart of just a sample of what kinds of fish out there. Actually, the picture I'm showing here are just the fish available in the seas and ocean. This is disregarding the one that comes from freshwater fish and, of course, fish ponds. So we have so many kind of fish. Next, please. So okay, let us now define what is a bioactive. So the word bioactive is derived from the Greek and Latin words, which means life and dynamic, or it could mean full of energy or involved in an activity. So a fish, which is an inimitable fusion of bioactive compounds like the long chain POPAs, especially the EPA and DHA, omega-3, peptides, proteins, protein hydrolysates. I will explain that further later on. Amino acids, minerals, vitamins, gelatin, and collagen, fish oil, fish bones, as well as fat-soluble vitamins, makes it an important source of nutraceuticals. Next. Due to the significant therapeutic value of fish and fishery byproducts, they can be used to lessen complications or to treat various diseases such as cardiovascular diseases, cancer, viral infections, rickets, dermatologic problems, hypertension, especially during pregnancy, and even parasitic infections. So fish-derived nutraceuticals also possess anticoagulant, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant features. Next. So the word nutraceutical is coined from the words nutrition and pharmaceutical. So nutraceutical is a food or part of a food which is not only imparts health benefits, but also contributes to preventing or treating various diseases. That's why it's a combination of both for nutrition and therapeutic or pharmaceutical effect. So nutraceuticals play vital role in human beings by maintaining their normal physiological functions and well-being. Although the fish has always been superior and dominant on other protein nutraceuticals and functional foods, studies on fish-based nutraceuticals and functional foods are very low compared with other protein sources, especially milk, like the one I presented in my previous webinar, dairy-based bioactives. Next. So fish nutraceuticals like omega fish oil can be used to improve health in various ways. As you know, if you're taking in fish oil, it says that it can delay the aging process, prevent acute and chronic diseases. It can increase life expectancy and support the basic structure and functions of the body. Next. And the recent report suggested that nutraceuticals in general provide positive tactics to manage health care with remarkable beneficial effects on human health. These nutraceuticals alone or in combination with other therapies not only help in maintaining health and promoting quality of life, but also combat serious medical illnesses of the current era, such as diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, cholesterol, arthritis, obesity, osteoporosis, and many others. Next. Therefore, low-cost nutraceuticals have always been in special demand, particularly among economically vulnerable or low-income groups. This way, fish or fish byproducts can also solve that global malnutrition problem and related disorders by providing the vital micro and macronutrients, high-density fats, and easily digestible proteins. In general, a large amount of fish byproducts are either disposed of or used for low-value products. About half of the fish's body parts, such as head, fins, skin, as well as viscera, including scales, are considered waste in the fish industries. When I say fish industries, these are the canning and the freezing fish industries. Next. So there are three major techniques that are employed to recover the bioactive components from these fish waste products. And this includes chemical or physical method, enzymatic method, and microbial method. Next. Among the three techniques, enzymatic method is considered as one of the best techniques for all type of fish, which can be applied for fish heads, skin, the viscera, the frames, and the scales. Of course, in the Philippines, we have been using already microbial. So if you can recall, we have fish sauce, which is a product of fish fermentation. We have ginamos for the Visayans, which is or bagoong for the Tagalogs, and so these are microbial fish products that contains bioactives already. The drawback only for this is that it is so salty, because a lot of our preservation, usually we have to add salt, otherwise it will spoil. Next. So it is important to recognize the value of these fish waste, which can be utilized to develop novel nutraceuticals and functional foods. Cheap valued potent fish nutraceuticals can fulfill the world demand of dietary supplements, especially for underdeveloped or less developed countries. And at the present, fish oil supplements are relatively cheaper compared to other health supplements, because by virtue probably that a lot of this could be obtained from the fish waste. Next. So how does the enzymatic digestion looks like? So when you add enzymes on a fish waste, it would hydrolyze the fish waste, or it would degrade it, and it would break it down into different components, generally into its proteins, and even breaking down the proteins to break it into peptides, and then it will break the fish oils will be released from the fish muscles. So as a result, you have various components resulting from from enzymatic digestion. Next. Before I proceed to that, and if you recall, for those who have attended my previous webinar on bioactives from dairy products, once you do enzymatic digestion of these various fish waste, you'll need the high technology processes like ultrafiltration or nanofiltration to separate the peptides, because these peptides, this is where a lot of the bioactives are found. But of course, there are proteins as well that are bioactives. And then, if you recall also from that webinar, we need a specialized technique also to identify the bioactives using the HPLC. So it's a matter of running a sample into the HPLC, and then you can identify the peak of a particular bioactive. But setting that aside, let's now discuss about the global fish consumption and its nutraceutical market. To ensure food security and nutritional quality for a growing world population in the face of climate change, increasing aquaculture production, and competition of natural resources, countries must be accountable for what they consume rather than what they produce. And that is what is food security about. So in 2018, the world fish production is about 167 million tons, out of which 146 million tons are used for human consumption. And the remaining is used for non-food purposes or discarded as waste materials. That already includes those fish waste that we talk about, the heads, the skins, the viscera, the bones, and so on. Next. In a POW report in 2016, the global per capita fish consumption rose to about 20 kilograms a year for the first time, but in spite of that, not in all continents, because in Africa, it's still below 10, and in South America, it's just over 10. The other continents, Asia, Europe, and North America, that's where a lot of fish consumption happen. Next. So the global nutraceutical market includes functional foods and dietary supplements. And this was valued at around 250 billion in 2014. So this is already the overall. This includes other non-fish nutraceuticals like the one I delivered that webinar last time on, from dairy products or from plant materials. According to the Grandview Research Incorporated in 2020, consumer demand for nutraceuticals is rapidly increasing, with the market expected to reach 722.5 billion by 2027. I think this is one reason for this is actually because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So a lot of people now take a lot of health supplements to help them combat this pandemic, and nutraceuticals usually can help in that. Next. So the global fish nutraceutical markets consist mainly of the one I've mentioned already on fish oil, as it is the most widely used nutraceutical for human consumption because of its high content of essential long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, which contains the EPA and DHA, and the marine collagen. I think you've heard of this as well. So this is another nutraceutical coming from fish proteins, especially gelatin and also the collagen. So the global fish oil market is expected to reach about $4 billion by 2022. And that would already include other nutraceuticals from fish products. So moreover, the other nutraceutical products derived from fishes include collagen, bioactive peptides. This still needs more research, protein hydrolysates, carotenoids, and even glycosaminoglycans. Because, by the way, when we say bioactive peptides, when you hydrolyze, your enzyme hydrolyze fish protein, it will break down into peptides. But when we say peptides, it will break up the different amino acids at some point that constitute the protein. And this chains of amino acids, some of them are bioactives, some are not. So it needs further research to identify which ones are these. Next. In the Philippines, a lot of fish waste are generated from many fish freezing and canning factories all over the country. Hence, there is a need for doing local research on fish waste and its byproducts for developing low-cost nutraceuticals that fulfill almost all the nutritional requirements of human being. Because when you say nutritional requirements, it covers the protein, fats, and carbohydrates, but at the same time, the vitamins and the other bioactives, which you can also derive from fish. Next. Okay, now let's discuss in detail the various fish waste coming from fish waste. So the first one is fish frame. Fish frame resulting from filleting operation. In the Philippines, but I think in big cities, in the supermarkets, there you will probably see fillet of fish, but here in New Zealand, it's very common. They will usually cut up the fleshy, the meaty portion of the fish on both sides and just leave out the 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 bones with some proteins left. So that is a frame, fish frame. And it contains remarkable amounts of muscle proteins and can be utilized in obtaining fish protein hydrolysis. So the fish protein hydrolysis is more of, you still hydrolyze, but the hydrolysis is not complete digestion. So what happens is it will just break up the proteins into bigger chunks of proteins. And that's why it's called the fish protein hydrolysis. And fish protein hydrolysis in as a whole will contain some bioactives, but it will not be very potent because it is not, the bioactives has not been fully concentrated. So one of the important uses of fish protein hydrolysis is the isolation of bioactives. So this is where I said, where you will isolate or you will concentrate these bioactives peptides, that if you can concentrate it in greater proportion, then you can use this as a therapeutic remedy for some ailments. And a good example of this is the hypertensive or angiotensin converting enzyme inhibition. So this is a bioactive that will help in inflammation in various parts of our bodies, like for those who have arthritis, those who have osteoarthritis, and so on. It can help. It is also anti-proliferative. It is also anticoagulant. It is immunomodulatory. So this will help your immune systems, and also a chelating agents. So this is something to do with the minerals or the metals in your body that will help it, like iron. Next. Bioactive peptides generally include 3 to 20 amino acids. If you recall, I said a protein will consist of several or sometimes hundreds of amino acids. So if you use enzyme hydrolysis on that, it will break it up into various lengths. And generally, the bioactive peptides are very, very small fragments, only 3 to 20 amino acids. So the very big one are lumped together, and that is what is known as a fish protein hydrolysis. It's these very small amino acids that are bioactive. And if you have a way of concentrating that, and a good example of that is the use of the ultrafiltration techniques and nanofiltration techniques. And these are high technology equipment that needs to be used. So fish peptides have antibacterial and antioxidative activities. So when we have antioxidative activities, it is an antioxidant, and that's why it can help in your immune system. It is antibacterial, so at the same time, it will also help you to overcome infection. And also, because of the antibacterial, it can also be used as a food additive for fish. So that's why the fermented fish, when they start to produce fish peptides that are antibacterial, it also helps it to be preserved. But at the same time, there are other therapeutic importance of these other bioactives as well. So antimicrobial peptides usually have less than 50 amino acids, of which 50% are hydrophobic and have low molecular weight, usually about 10 kilodalton. I could not remember what is the size of the basic fish protein like collagen, but for dairy protein like beta lactoglobulin, it is usually around 14,000 kilodalton. And the one we're talking here is 10 kilodalton, so it's smaller. And for dairy proteins, there are bigger proteins like the immunoglobulins, which is in 300s of kilodalton. So that's how big the proteins are in dairy. Next. So what are antimicrobial peptides? They have beneficial effects in the native immunity by directly interacting with bacteria and killing them. So that's why the word antimicrobial. While the antioxidant activity of peptides can be the result of specific scavenging of radicals formed during peroxidation, scavenging of oxygen-containing compounds, or their metal chelating activity. So that's why it has that antioxidant activity as well. Next. Okay, fish protein hydrolysis is derived from many fish species such as cod, mackerel, that have illustrated in antioxidative activities. But of course, most fish would have this kind of if you just use enzyme hydrolysis, then you'll derive a fish protein hydrolysis. Antioxidants not only improve the stability of lipids and lipid-containing foods. That's another important thing also of antioxidants, because it helps to help preserve. By the way, when I say lipid, it means fat. So it will help the stability of fats and fat-containing foods, but are also used to protect food products by retarding their discoloration. So that's another important thing of antioxidant, and deterioration that resulted from oxidation, thus extending the shelf life of foods. So not only that it is bioactive, that is good for health, but it can also help in the preservation of the food product. Next. So hypertension is a serious contemporary concern, and to prevent hypertension, generally synthetic drugs are commonly used. So these drugs have numerous side effects on human health, such as dry cough, taste disturbances, and skin rashes. Next. Currently, naturally safe alternative fish-based bioactives with high angustin, I specified it earlier, angustin something, ACE inhibitory activity are employed for the prevention and treatment of hypertension. So there are already studies that use fish bioactives that have ACE inhibitory activity, and they found that it helps in the prevention and treatment of hypertension. Peptides derived from tuna frames, fish protein hydrolysis demonstrate a strong suppressive effect on the systolic blood pressure of hypertensive rats. Here, the study is still on rats. It has not yet been transferred to human yet, but it shows a very promising result that the fish peptides coming from tuna frames can be used could eventually be made into hypertensive drugs. Next. The next fish waste is the fish skin. So another result also for fish filleting operation is, aside from cutting the fish meat from the frame or from the skeleton or the bones, they will peel off the skin, because especially from other countries, not in the Philippines, they don't like eating the skin or other. They just want the meat. So that's why there would usually be waste coming from the skins. So fish processing exists contains a considerable amount of skin, which can be utilized as a potential source for isolating collagen and gelatin. If you recall, there is already a health supplement or from fish, marine collagen, and that's derived usually from fish skins. Traditionally, collagen was mainly derived from porcine and bovine sources. When we say porcine, usually coming from pigs, and bovine sources coming from cows or cattle. So there's now that trend towards deriving collagen from fish. Next. Collagen has numerous applications in the biomedical and pharmaceutical industries, especially as drug carrier, as well as the treatment of pain associated with osteoarthritis. Also in treatment of hypertension, also used in tissue engineering, inhibition of angiogenic diseases, also used in cosmetics, in the production of bone dressings, vitreous implants, dermal filler, and hemostat and skin substitute. So there's a lot of uses of collagen coming from fish skin. Next. So the biological activities of peptides isolated from fish skins and scales. So you can actually also obtain collagen from fish scales. Have been on antioxidant and hypertensive or ACE inhibitory activities, as I mentioned earlier. So the antioxidant activities of bioactive peptides are mainly due to the presence of some aromatic amino acids and also histidine. Excuse me. Next. Gelatin peptides are rich in hydrophobic. So gelatin or collagen, they're sometimes used and synonymously, are rich in hydrophobic amino acids, which result in higher emulsifying ability. So this is a functional property. Because of the high percentage of glycine and proline, these are amino acids, fish gelatin peptides possess higher antioxidant effects than peptides from other proteins, meaning from other animals. Furthermore, collagen and gelatin-derived peptides represent numerous other bioactives, such as antimicrobial activity, mineral binding capacity or the chelating capacity, lipid lowering effect, immunomodulatory activity or about for help in immune systems, and beneficial effects on skin, bone, or joint health, especially fish oils. That's so collagen is also very helpful for bones and joint health. Next. In addition, the surface of fish skin is usually covered in scales. Diba? If you recall, fish usually is covered in scales, which you take it off, and then there's the skin. For us Filipinos, usually we like to fry the fish with the skin. But for people from other countries, usually they even peel it off. So that are made up of proteins. So the scales can still consist also of proteins containing 18 amino acids, and a number of these amino acids display calcium binding affinities, or what is known as the chelating properties. So calcium binding peptides isolated from tilapia scale protein hydrolysate prevent calcium deficiency and improve calcium bioavailability. So this is very useful for those people which consume less milk, no? Especially from the Philippines, where the availability of milk is not very easily available. So when we eat a lot of fish skins, that helps because it has that calcium binding peptides that can help in calcium deficiency and calcium bioavailability. Next. Then another waste from fish is fish bones. Among fish processing byproducts, fish bone or fish skeleton is one of the valuable sources in identifying health-promoting components and a potential source of minerals and calcium. Approximately 30% of organic components of fish bone is still made of fish protein, collagen, and 60 to 70% of inorganic substances are mainly composed of calcium phosphate and hydroxyapatite. So these are high in phosphate and calcium, I think. Next. So calcium is important for bone health, as you know, and in combination with vitamin D, it improves cardiac health along with a number of diseases, including gastrointestinal diseases, diabetes, and hypertension. It has been reported that the intake of small fish with bones can enhance calcium availability in rats. Oh, this is in the study of Japanese workers. So it helps. Next, please. So fish bone, because fish bone contains hydroxyapatite, thus can be an important calcium dietary supplement and can be served and can also serve as an alternative for synthetic hydroxyapatite. Accordingly, it can be consumed by people with low intakes of milk and dairy products. So, however, in order to include fish bones in food, its structure should be changed into an inedible form by different methods such as hot water treatment and acetic acid solution. So to make it, to soften it. But for us Filipinos, I think a lot of us consume fish bones, but especially if it's a small fish, because we fry it till it is crispy. So we can eat the meat, including the bones. And another way of utilizing small fish is the use of vacuum frying. Because if you vacuum fry, for example, the delish, dry delish or danggit and so on, then you have the bones that goes with it that can help, that will have a high calcium fish products. So that's one way of uh, uh, taking advantage of the calcium binding properties of bones in fish. Next. Next, please. Okay, now we have the fish internal organs or viscera. Fish internal organs or viscera constitute approximately 20% of the marine biomass. So meaning for a whole fish, about 20% of that is our guts or the insides, the entrails. Nevertheless, if not used, these compounds are discarded as waste or low value byproducts, which would generate additional waste disposal and environmental problems. Marine fish viscera include many useful proteins, which can be converted into value-added products that can be widely applied to improve and promote the nutritional properties of proteins. I remember in Leyte, there is a fish processing company in Inupacan, Leyte, I think, where they process canned bangos, and the fish viscera or the entrails, they usually would ferment it by adding salt and ferment it into what is known as the yolk. So that is a good example of utilization of the fish internal organs. And if it is going to be measured for some important peptides, it's possible that there are bioactive peptides present in that fermented fish entrail called the yolk. So that's one way of utilizing the internal organs. Next. Next, please. As you know, the fish viscera contains digestive tissues such as stomach, pylorixica, intestines, liver, pancreas, spleens, and gonads. When you say gonads, these are the eggs. So fish viscera are potential sources of bioactive materials, enhancing the value of fish processing byproducts, and serve as a rich source of different digestive enzymes. So the fish viscera itself could be the source of the enzyme that could be used for microbial, for enzymatic hydrolysis. So the main enzymes from fish viscera that can be extracted could be pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, and elastase. So these enzymes can be utilized to produce fish-based bioactive components on a large scale. If you'll be involved in a big scale processing from fish processing, then you do a byproduct processing of the fish waste, and then you can probably extract bioactive components and you can concentrate it into and can be packaged into a fish-based supplements or nutraceuticals. Next. So enzymes from fish can be employed for other applications such as production of fish protein hydrolysate, and fish roe, fish silage, fish sauce, like patis, and enzymatic removal of fish skin. So the enzymes could be used for this. Byproducts from degutting, filleting, and other processing operation are good raw materials for oil production. And I think that's the reason why fish oil supplements are not that expensive compared with other supplements, health supplements, because it is just a byproduct actually of waste processing, fish waste processing. So fish oil from salmon, tuna, and mackerel is a valuable source of marine lipid or fish oils. According to numerous studies, the dietary intake of fish oil reduces fat. And it is quite surprising if you see. So if you take in this fish oil supplement, it helps to reduce your weight actually. You will lose weight. and to think that you are taking in fats, because it's a different kind of fats. It's omega-3. Next. Fish oil supplementation has been suggested to decrease body fat by affecting appetite. So this is result of some studies. Fish oils as a rich source of long-chain omega-3 FOFA have attracted considerable attention in recent years. And even until now, the fish oil supplements is very popular actually all over the world. Omega-3 fatty acids have shown to lower plasma triacylglycerol, similar to a variety of drugs such as fibrates, statins, niacin, and metformin. So they found that there is a correlation that if you take in fish oil, it can help you to lessen the use of drugs. Consumption of fish oil, which is an excellent source of FOFA, has been linked to the promotion of human health against different diseases. And that's why a lot, if some of you are taking in fish oils, you can read on the labels of these fish supplements that they mention a lot of things that it can do to your health actually. Next. Fish oil is mainly composed of two types of fatty acids, EPA and DHA, and contains different combination of other fatty acids as well. The biological effects of EPA and DHA include effects on lipoproteins. So when you say lipoproteins, it's a combination of fat and protein. Blood pressure can take effect on blood pressure. It will usually lower your blood pressure. It will help in your cardiac function, the vascular reactivity, and also cardiac electrophysiology. So it will basically help you in your cardiovascular problems, as well as potent antiplatelet and anti-inflammatory effects. So it has a lot of health benefits. Fish oil is also a good source of dietary vitamin D. So the importance of vitamin D in relation to a wide range of health aspects such as prevention of cancer, heart disease, and inflammatory conditions, as well as mental and bone health is well recognized. Next. Oh, I was expecting another. Oh, that was the last fish waste, the fish internal organs. Okay, so I think I'm done with my talk, and I'm now ready for your questions. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you so much for that profound talk about bioactives found in fish waste. Anyway, I know that you guys who are attending today or tonight rather have a lot of questions to ask our wonderful speaker today. This time you can do so. You can type in your questions in the chat box and we will be addressing that for you. But before everything else, we want to say hi to everyone who's attending this afternoon. Someone from DFSC is watching, Jocelyn Daklag. We have Gary Garcia watching from all the way from Malaybalay City. We have people from CTU Tuburan campus. Amazing. And we will be having an e-certificate later on for this. We will be posting the link on the chat box as well. So make sure to fill it up so that you will have an e-certificate for this webinar. So good afternoon to everybody. We have one question right here, Dr. Lemuel. Is it possible to acquire bioactives from crustaceans or other marine-based life forms?
There is actually, like a good example of that are kaitusan. So kaitusan are obtained from marine shells like fish, shrimp shells, and from crab shells. So it is usually extracted also using enzymes. So chitosan is one type of bioactive. I think it can help in uh, weight, helps you to lose weight and so on. But I could not remember all of it because I did not prepare for that. But yeah, definitely there are bioactives as well in crustaceans.
Sounds promising. We have another question. Can fish-based bioactives be used for medicinal purposes, which can help curve down the pandemic? Please modify. Yeah, please. That's the question.
From fish bioactives into a medicine, it's still a long way. Because in order for you to utilize fish bioactives, you need to process this into a concentrated form. And then once you have the concentrated form, this is the time when you do clinical studies and to compare it with a known medical medicine to compare it. So generally for the technique is, because if you are going to go into this, it involves a lot of financial resources involved to because if you recall, I said in order to concentrate the bioactives, you have to use techniques like ultrafiltration and nanofiltration to concentrate the bioactives. And then you also need HPLC to identify that you did have that bioactives in the streams of your. So it's very, but for Filipinos probably you can, the approach probably is just to carry out microbial or enzymatic digestion, and then you can use this for, like I remember back in BSU, you can do a microbial test. I think some of my former Udtech students that are already expert probably on their field on microbiology and chemistry as well, where you can check on the efficacy of these various compounds. So there's a way of doing it, but you cannot bring it to the point that it's like a medicine already. It's still going to be a long way. That's why a lot of bioactives are just put as a health supplement. So because health supplement is intermediate between a food and a medicine. So that's why it's a nutraceutical. It is in between. And you can get away of claiming that it is in a concentrated form, very much like the medicine, but you can claim that this can help in these problems, but it will not treat, but it can help in the problem. So that's the technique of a lot of health supplements manufacturers. Did I answer your question?
Yes. All right. And with that in mind, there's an additional question in that area from Eloisa Villaraza. She's asking, fish oil supplementation has been suggested to decrease body fat by affecting appetite. What is the
Yes.
mechanism or explanation for this?
I'm sorry, I could not go to the details of that, but if you, but definitely there are already studies done to that, because I'm not really a food chemist, but my understanding it's going to affect it. But if I'm given the time, I can go and research because I've got a lot of literature actually on bioactives, and I can definitely find the answer for that. But you can easily search probably using Google Scholar and find that you can find the answer to this.
All right. I hope you can find the answer to that, Miss Eloisa. Here's another question, Dr. Lemuel. Do you think that businesses and organizations can venture into this industry of nutraceuticals?
Uh, my idea actually is for probably a fish processing company already, where at the present they're already producing, for example, canned products, and a lot of their waste are just waste, so it get thrown up or it's not fully utilized. So if they go into complete processing from the fish process into canned products, and then they will go into processing of the fish byproducts, and eventually purifying these various bioactives and to be processed into health supplements. That's how I envision it to be. Because if you just go straight into bioactives, it is going to be a very expensive process for you. So it is good for food companies that are already processing fish and just discarding their fish waste. So this is where they could get the most out of their processing.
Yeah, and to lessen the waste.
Yeah. So at the same
Awesome.
time, you get more a commercial product out of the waste.
That's right. That's right. All right. Hope that answered your question. Here's another one that we have for you, Dr. Limuel. Based on the previous webinars that we've had four in the past.
Mhm.
Which source of bioactive do you prefer?
Which source? Well,
Yes.
because right now I'm here in New Zealand, then our company is actually utilizing dairy materials because that is where it's plentiful here in New Zealand. But in the Philippines, as I've said, if you are a fish processing manufacturer, fish products manufacturer like a canning company or even a tuna raising companies where you are discarding a lot of your waste, then I would say that that is the best for you, for example, in the Philippines. But for New Zealand, then maybe the use of milk proteins, milk products is the best option for us. So it really depends on the place. So what's available and what's plentiful that you can process.
All right. Awesome. So we have another question. Someone is asking a curious question, which is, what is your topic for the next webinar, if there is a next webinar?
I'm running out of ideas already. So maybe you can suggest some topics now.
Yeah, maybe you guys have ideas on what Dr. Lemuel should talk about. Maybe there's an interesting topic that you guys want him to talk about and you want him to expound further. Then this is the time that you can also suggest it to us so that we could prepare a presentation to also share it to everyone here, or to the people who will be attending the next webinar. And if you want to be updated for upcoming events, just make sure to follow us on our Facebook page. That's Food Step Consulting. So we also posted the attendance link on the chat box below, so, or at the side. So please make sure to check it out. And if you have more questions, please do send it, type it in the chat box so that we can address it right now, and you get a chance for Dr. Lemuel to explain it for you if some areas of the webinar yeah, or the presentation you might have found confusing. So please do send that right here, right now. All right. Okay. So we're gonna wait for some people to ask a few questions. Yeah.
By the way, Krista, I think I remembered in the previous seminar, webinar, there was some kind of a list that was sent to me by some of you in the food step consulting. I think those are list of topics there. Maybe I can revisit that and see
Yes.
what
Yes.
topic
And
I should be presenting. Yeah. So
yeah, and we can post it on Facebook
yeah,
afterwards so
yeah,
people would
thanks.
know. That would be amazing. So we'll find the list soon enough. So again, in the past, we've had 4 webinars. If you want to check it out, there's fruit drying. We have bioactives in Carabao's milk, the extraction. And if you want to check out the previous webinars, there's a recording of it on our Facebook page. So make sure that we just check it out right there on Facebook. All right. All right. Wait, there's a question. All right. There's a question from Divine Ramiliano. She is asking if is it possible to be given a copy of the presentation that we have today for them to review. Would that be okay with you, Dr. Lemuel?
That's okay. Yeah. But I think food step should be you in the food step staff should be the one to send it. Yeah. I don't mind because those
Awesome.
are information available in the public domain already anyway.
All right. So I hope that answered your question, Divine. We will be sharing it to you later on after this webinar. Please do send in your email. Type in your email here so we can send it to you personally. Yep. So there you go. Will you give an e-certificate after the webinar? Yes, please fill in the Google form link for the attendance. It's posted by admin Lazy Lab, so you can check it out right there. All right, so waiting for more questions. We have wonderful faces right here showing their videos. Any more questions regarding the webinar for fish-based bioactives as a source of nutraceuticals? It was explained very elaboratively. So I'm sure you guys understood everything that was said and presented in this webinar. So yeah, I think we will be ending our webinar today if you guys don't have any questions. Oh, we have Benson also who wants to receive the presentation. All right. I hope Lazy Labs team can copy this and we can send it to them. Thank you so much. Yep.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending the webinar, and hope to see you in the succeeding webinars.
Yes, it is our honor, Dr. Lemuel, that you share your knowledge with us and your expertise. And we are also honored that we have a lot of people attending today on this Friday of October 8th, 2021. Thank you for joining for the four too many webinars that we will be having, because Dr. Lemuel will be thinking about more topics to share to you guys. So if you're interested to join us again, do follow us on our social media. Again, you can search us Food Step Consulting. I hope you have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. Have a great dinner. And good evening to you, Dr. Lemuel.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and good night.